I'm not too sure what you mean by this comment. The Colonel had 3 children. Harlan David Sanders Jr., who died before he was even married and had kids. So he had no children to carry on the Sanders name, and he was in his 20s. He had Margaret and Mildred Sanders, who married to Adams and Ruggles. They did not sell out their last name. And when it comes to the nieces and nephews, his brother was the only one to have family to carry the Sanders name onto my generation. Now, he has other members of his own offspring that have different last names, but none of them have sold the real Sanders name. I want to say any of our lives are ruined. Uncle Harley sold Kentucky Fried Chicken and the rights to use his name and image in advertising on the agreement that they don't change his quality. Technically, we could say that that agreement has been breached, but the people who originally signed that agreement are no longer alive. Uncle Harley became very successful after failing all of his life. And even after he sold out in 1964, his nephew Lee started his own restaurant, Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, along with a few other spin offs like Pop's Fried Chicken and Catfish, Katie's Restaurant. His nephew Jim, who was my uncle Jim Sanders, he was a Kentucky colonel. He ran a franchise in Columbus, Indiana, and lived in Seymour, Indiana, and even became the brand ambassador for the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises after Uncle Harley died in 1980. Uncle Jim died in 1989. His other nephew, Charles Sanders, my great grandfather, he was going to work for Kentucky Fried Chicken, but opted not to. He was a barber by trade, and he opened his own hotel in Tampa, Florida, and he opened a diner in Cadiz, Kentucky, neither of which are around anymore. His children stayed involved in the business in one way or the other. His grandchildren stayed involved in the business up to a certain point. And as far as I'm aware, everybody in the Colonel's family is now out of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I am the only one showing any interest in wanting to work for them because I want to bring them back closer to their roots and their history, which I know people are interested in. If it wasn't for the news interview I did almost a decade ago, I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you guys, and you wouldn't even know that there were Sanders still left, other than the lying people who are claiming to be related to the Colonel with my last name, because there are no more. All the testing we've done, all the research we've done, the last name Sanders has died off or married out of the family of all branches. And just because Uncle Harley sold the rights to his name, Colonel Harlan Sanders, does not mean the rights to my name have been sold, or my grandfather's name, or my great-grandfather's name, or any of our names. So I'm not entirely sure what the hardly successful colonel, his kids ruined their own lives by selling real name of Sanders means. I'm just starting off, and I may not be rich, but my life is hardly ruined.